Hey friends, okay, so today's video, I'm going to be talking about Catholic names. So I actually get asked this question quite often about how to pick a confirmation name, how to pick a baby name, and is it important to be Catholic? And also, people ask me about my children, like why we picked the names that we did for our children. And so I'm going to get into all of those questions and talk about Catholic names, why we choose Catholic names here in the Catholic faith. So I want to start off by saying that some people don't have Catholic names. You can't help what your parents chose for you. Maybe you had a conversion and you didn't know that you're supposed to have a Catholic name to give to your baby and stuff like that. And I just want to say that it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world if your name is not Catholic. My name actually is Heather, and I have never heard of a Saint Heather or anything like that. My husband, his name is Eric Taylor. So Eric is his first name, Taylor is his middle name, and neither of those I don't think are Catholic. So so it's okay. I asked my husband, you know, what is your confirmation name? And he said that actually his confirmation, they didn't ask that he picked a name, which is pretty rare. Most Catholic churches for confirmation ask you to pick a different name for your confirmation, and that's kind of biblical. That's why the Catholic Church does that. It's kind of a biblical way of like kind of presenting yourself, you know, as a new person. Anyway, so my husband's a very devout Catholic man and doesn't have any Catholic names. So so we were talking about that, and I said, well, who do you want your patron saint to be? And he loves Saint Joseph. He did the consecration to Saint Joseph last year when that book came out, which is, I guess, amazing. I have not done it. That's one of my goals this year. So I just want to say that, you know, even if you don't have a confirmation name or nothing Catholic, you can still choose like your patron saint type of thing. So so it's okay. I just want to put that out there first, that it's okay. You're still awesome. Okay, so let's get into confirmation first. A lot of people go into confirmation and they know that they have to pick a name, and they kind of get stressed out about it. So first of all, it's not supposed to be at all stressful or anything like that. And usually you should pick a Catholic name, which means a saint name. So one of the saints, and there are hundreds and thousands of saint names, so you have a lot to choose from. And also like a saint that's biblical. So those two are usually what the Catholic Church says to pick. So there's a couple different ways you could go about getting your confirmation name, or even a baby name. And pretty much what you can do is there a saint that you feel really connected to? And if so, that might be a good option of how, like, a saint to pick. Or, you know, if nothing is kind of coming together and you're not feeling like, oh, this is the saint for me, then you could always pray and ask, like, hey, Mother Mary, will you lead me to a great saint that will help me, you know, in my walk? And usually there's like a spark. You know, I've heard sometimes that it's actually the saints who pick us a lot of the time, and I think that is the neatest thing ever. Now, if you don't feel that way, if you don't feel like a certain connection with any saint, that's okay. Like, you can just pick a saint that you feel like somewhat connected to, like a patron saint of whatever your interests and talents are. That might be something to look into. So you can always look up, Google, say patron saint of homemakers, you know, something like that. Whatever you are doing, like, you can pick that patron saint. And, you know, in all honesty, you could pick any of the saints because they're all awesome. Like, the church has already done like the hard work for you and have picked out who is a saint and who's in heaven. So that's kind of cool. You kind of can't lose. Like, anyway is a winner. So if you're curious, my confirmation name is Bernadette, and actually I had a huge love for the movie The Song of Bernadette. It is, to this day, my favorite movie. It is so amazing. When I'm done watching it, I just want to be holy. Like, she is just so humble and amazing. It's a black and white film, and anyway, I grew up watching that. and I just love St. Bernadette. She was so like simple and humble and did whatever Mother Mary asked her to do, and I just really loved her. And so when it came time for confirmation, for me it was a no-brainer. It was, so St. Bernadette is my patron, so Bernadette is my confirmation name. And I've noticed throughout my life, there's different saints that I cling to more. Like St. Francis of Assisi, when I was single, I clung to him. And not necessarily thinking that I'm gonna be single, you know, like consecrated single forever, but it was more like simplicity. Like that is one way that I get closer to God, is through simplicity. That was, you know, that phase of life, you know, motherhood. I go to, you know, St. Elizabeth, Mother Mary's cousin, and Mother Mary has always been one of my favorites. So anyway, there's different phases in your life that you'll go through that you might feel more of a connection to different saints, and I think that's so cool as well. So I'm gonna get into baby names next, and that's pretty much the same thing as confirmation. So the girl names that we picked were so much easier than the boy names. I have always loved different girl names. Boy names, I'm like, they're okay. But we decided to go kind of the biblical route, and so that's why we chose, we have a Thomas, we have Jacob, Zechariah, Annabella, which Anna, so it can be like a part of a name as well. And then also we have a little Maria, which Mary, hello. So anyway, so those are the names we picked, and they're all in the Bible. So so you can pick stuff like Annabella. So that is like a biblical name because there's a part of it that is biblical. So Anna is Saint Anne, Mary's mother, which I think is so funny because Bella, we call her Bella, but Bella is very mothering to Maria, which I'm like, that's so funny. Anyway, so you can go about it. You can pick your favorite saints, whoever you love. Like you know, I feel like God will kind of reveal to you different names, but the Catholic Church really does encourage that you use like a saint name. So somebody, and it can be like the middle name, like Heather Ann. So my middle name is Anne, and of course Saint Anne. So the first name isn't Catholic, and that's okay. But as long as there's a Catholic name in there, it's really encouraged. And partly why it's encouraged is kind of to have a patron saint. You know, I think it really honors the saints, and to have, like Mother Mary is like, Mother Mary, I'm naming Maria after you. Like, you are the most amazing mother ever. It's just very honoring to them to do that. Just like if you name somebody in your, you know, after your father, or, you know, stuff like that. It's like an honor. And also, secondly, it's kind of to like encourage people to ask about those names. So people could say, oh, your middle name's Anne, like what's the story with Anne? And you could say, I could say, well, Saint Anne is actually Mother Mary's mother, and you know, I could tell the story, or the kids, it hopefully will intrigue them to know about their saint and stuff. So and I love feast days too. I've heard of people who they go with whatever feast day their child is born on, that's their name. So if it's a boy name, you can make it into a girl name. So it's like Saint Michael, you could say it's Michelle, you know, type of thing. So anyway, so that's another idea. If you're like, I don't know what name to pick, like I think that's kind of cool too. So I'm gonna get into the story of our children, like why we picked the names. And like I said, like it was all biblical. We started off with Thomas, and I just loved Thomas. I really did. I thought, oh, Tommy, like that's just such a cute name. Like I love Tommy, and every Thomas I knew were like really good, solid men and stuff. So and also my husband and I, like, we love St. Thomas Aquinas. So the Summa, like he's just amazing. He's a doctor of the church. So we kind of were like, oh, you can't go wrong with Thomas. There's so many, like St. Thomas More, there's like all these St. Thomases. So and my son Thomas loves learning about all the different Thomases too. So that's kind of cool to use a saint where it's like many different saints like he could be, you know, attributed to. So so we start off with Thomas, and ironically, the second he was born, I felt like he was an Andrew, like almost immediately. So, but I had like stuck to Thomas. So to this day, I think he could have been an Andrew. It's kind of crazy. But because of that, we always wait till the baby's born to know 100% sure, like, is this his name or her name? Okay, so the second one was Jacob, and Jacob is kind of fun because one of my friends, her daughter, who's, I think like she was 7 or 8 at the time, she asked me, oh, like, what are you gonna name your baby? And I was like, I don't know, it's a little boy, what do you think I should name him? And she said Jacob, just very like firm. And I was like, and almost immediately when she said that, I was like, his name is Jacob. Like, it was so crazy. And then, but we like just kept talking about it. And then he came into this world and we still didn't like name him right away. And so my husband looked, you know, did like the mass readings for that day. And it was so interesting because the readings were, it had something to do with his, we know his name and his name should be Jacob. It was like, I can't remember, I should look it up, but it was so amazing. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, so that's how we got Jacob. Zachary, I just love Zachariah from the Bible, St. Elizabeth's husband. It just seemed like such a strong, manly name that I really liked Zachariah. We called him, his name is Zachary, but we actually, like, I call him Zachariah all the time. So, because I was like, can we name him Zachariah? And Eric's like, nobody names kids Zachariah. Like, Zachary is the English. And I was like, oh man, like, I just love Zachariah. It's so like manly, you know, and so holy. Like, so I just felt like it was like a holy name. So the next one was Annabella. So Annabella Rose is her actual name. And so pretty much my husband and I, we went on a date, and on the date we went to mass, and then after that I think we went to confession too, and then we went out to eat. And so we went out to eat, and I was like, so what do you think about names, you know? And he said, funny you should say something. Like, I really feel like God told me Annabella is her name. I was like, really? Like, because I had never mentioned that name, but I have always loved that name. And I love that it's Anna, which is biblical, and then Bella, which is beautiful. And so her name means gracious beauty, which I love. And we always joke about because she is just like, kind of like a tornado. So it's really funny, although my name is gracious as well. So Heather actually means joyful spirit, and then Anne means gracious. And so anyway, it's kind of funny. So we always like joke about that. And then Rose is her middle name, so I really wanted to call her Bella Rose, beautiful Rose. And I love St. Rose of Lima, so that's partly, like, she has a long name, but I love it. So that's where like Annabella came from. And that's why people like, why didn't you call, you know, name her Mary first, you know, or Maria? And it's just because like my husband really felt like that's what God was saying, which my husband is not like that. Like, he isn't one to like, oh, this is, you know, this is what God's telling me type of thing. Like, he just like felt it in his heart and said it, and it was exactly the name I wanted. It was so crazy. And so anyway, with Maria Grace, I had always wanted a Maria, but I just didn't know. It was one of those things where I'm like, I have to meet her first, you know. And Grace, like, I mean, I love the rosary, the Hail Mary, so of course, like that, I love that name reminds me of the rosary and the Hail Mary and stuff. So Maria Grace, and I love it. Like, it fits her very well, and I don't know, it's so great. So anyway, so those are the names of our family. And anyway, I hope that you all had a good time listening to the stories and about names, Catholic names. You just can't go wrong. If you pick a Catholic saint, you're in good hands. So anyway, until next time, I will see you all later. God bless. Bye.